Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergog, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at what Neia Baraja thought about Ainz Ooal Gown. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. After waiting for over a year and still receiving no sign of life from the movie, covering volumes 12 and 13, and with no concrete release date in sight, let's take a look today at what Neia Baraja thinks about the Sorcerer King Ainz Ooal Gown and why in the end she founded the equivalent of the imperial cult, worshipping a skeleton on a golden throne, worshipping Ainz as the personification of justice. I mean, she has taken over an entire nation with this cult. Of course, she did it with the help of Demiurge and the Great Tomb of Nezarec behind the scenes. But still, there has been something profound going on inside of her head in order to enable this rather peculiar worldview. But let's start from the beginning, and with what Neia Baraja initially thought about Ainz Ooal Gown. Considering that undead are generally despised and shunned in the New World, and rightfully so, because undead in the New World emerge from pooled negative energy, the despair of the living, and the tragedy of their deaths. They disdain life itself, and are the antithesis of the very living, who try to cling to life just before death and want to prolong it. In poetic opposition to this, the undead represent death, hungering for life, and seeking to end it once and for all. Therefore, undead in the New World are widely despised, as they are the enemies of all life, similar to how White Walkers in the 8th season of Game of Thrones were supposed to be. This disdain is particularly high in the Holy Kingdom, where in addition to the need to protect oneself from undead who threaten one's own life, there is the kingdom's teaching that views the undead as inherently abhorrent and impure. They are shunned on a religious level, they are seen as a moral evil, in addition to being a very dangerous one. And we have surely read many times how Remedios never is tired of reminding everyone that Ainz is undead. However, Neia was a bit different from the beginning. Neia was deeply impressed when she first saw Ainz Ooal Gown in the flesh, or rather the bone, the golden throne on which he sat, the sublime attire adorning his undead body. All of this left a deep impression and fascinated Neia. She even dared to speak to Ainz, something that deeply shocked Remedios. But Ainz's rationality and his calm response was also extremely impressive to Neia. And all of this was especially significant because Neia had only known Remedios before as a leader, who attacked and verbally degraded Neia repeatedly without any reason other than just to vent. Remedios generally acted fanatical and irrational, making Ainz's first impression even better by comparison. Neia was then appointed by Remedios to serve Ainz as a squire, meaning that Neia and Ainz traveled together in the carriage of the Sorcerer King. And during this time, as the journey to the Liberation Army's base took some time, Neia got to know Ainz better. And indeed, Ainz Ooal Gown was kind, humble, respectful, and considerate in dealing with Neia, a complete contrast to how Remedios behaved. Also, she was deeply impressed by the Sorcerer King's trust in her, especially when she received a bow, which she believed must be as valuable as the holy sword Zalfarisia, the national treasure of the Holy Kingdom, wielded by Remedios, if not even more so, to be entrusted with this relic. The presumably strongest weapon of the Sorcerer Kingdom left Neia with trembling hands. Apart from such matters, Neia never thought that Ainz Ooal Gown was an ordinary undead. He seemed too different. He behaved and spoke differently, exuding an aura distinct from the dull, life-hating undead. There was something regal about him. And fun fact, Neia even developed the theory that Ainz Ooal Gown might actually be a human caster, a wizard, merely playing the role of an undead and masking his true identity. Like, she literally thought about that this skeletal face she was looking at was just a mask or a trick, and that the real human is below, in his gown somewhere. This was, I believe, the one instance where Ainz was, for all practical purposes, exposed, not as a player in the body of an undead overlord, but as a human in the body of an undead. Neia seemed to have seen through his facade, a feat not even Pandora's actor, Ainz Ooal Gown's very own NPC, had accomplished. And later on, she also regarded Ainz Ooal Gown as occasionally somewhat awkward and clumsy. Thus, she built a very respectful and very friendly and trusting connection with him, and knows him probably better than anybody else in this world. Ainz Ooal Gown had become for her what Remedios should have been the entire time, as the leader of the Paladins, a trusted superior, someone to look up to for inspiration, and someone you feel comfortable talking to. Of course, there eventually came the moment when Neia Baraja died. She was completely overwhelmed by a horde of demi-humans, and without arrows, she was slaughtered in close combat. Fortunately, at the same time, Ainz Ooal Gown finally realized that Remedios would never accept him into her heart, and finally turned towards Neia, albeit too late. Neia had been wounded and pierced by dozens of weapons, and Ainz could only spot her lifeless body in the midst of a horde of demi-humans. Yet Ainz wouldn't be an undead overlord if he couldn't rectify the situation. Through a rare item, a magic wand to be precise, Ainz resurrected Neia. And we even got a glimpse of Neia's perspective during this resurrection, but explaining it would require a separate video. Therefore, here's the short version. Her soul was in a great maelstrom, a river of souls leading to the afterlife, and she was removed from this river, albeit with a profound sense of loss, and guided back to her healed body. When Neia opened her eyes, she saw Ainz standing before her, surrounded by half a dozen demi-humans desperately striking at the undead, unable to comprehend why their weapons had no effect. And then Neia realized that Ainz Ooal Gown is indeed justice. From her own perspective, she saw how kind and generous Ainz was, how he used his strength to help the weak. Neia believed that those who use their strength to aid the weaker embody justice, and therefore Ainz personifies this very justice because he uses his very strength in this particular way. On the other hand, Neia regarded weakness as a sin, and this also is related to Ainz Ooal Gown, because when Ainz accompanied the Liberation Army under Remedios, Remedios once ordered all attacks on a prisoner camp to cease, because the leaders of the demi-humans had climbed on a watchtower with some child hostages, threatening their lives. In response, Ainz unleashed a fireball that eradicated the leader along with its hostages, and when the imprisoned residents of the Holy Kingdom were freed, a father mourned over the lifeless body of his child. And he not only blamed Ainz in silence for this, but also confronted the Sorcerer King. And Ainz replied that the weakness of the father was ultimately responsible for the death of his child. He suggested that the man failed to protect the child simply because he was weak. And therefore, Neia Baraja sees weakness as a sin, and Ainz as the personification of justice, since he used his power for the weak, for the betterment of the weak. But he also preaches strength and showed her that she need to be strong in order to protect what's dear to her. And all of this is particularly tragic, as we know that Ainz is in truth behind this entire conflict, simply because he failed to restrain Demiurge. And now Neia praises the murderer of her parents and the devastator of her nation as justice. So there's a bitter aftertaste with all of this. But hey, that's why we read Overlord for. And with that said, now it's your turn. Let me know what you think about the video and about Neia's changed opinions. And while you type, I say thank you very much for watching and special thanks to Other Daddy Other, ASK, Bad Guy Yi, Bad Burrito 316, Bize, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placidus Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Phil Walshivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lovewazer, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.